So for your next Baldur's Gate playthrough, I want to challenge you to play a monk. And one of the great things about this game is beyond the primary story, which is absolutely fantastic. So many amazing, just classic RPG, classic AD&D choices to make, no spoilers. And of course, the side quests and the NPC interactions. But once you've been through all of that a number of times, exploring the unfolding story from different character class perspectives opens up an entirely new dimension of the game, not only tactically, but how you're going to approach the various encounters. Now, much like tabletop D&D or other RPG games or board games, we tend to have favorite character classes that we like to play. But I want to challenge you for your next run through, and maybe it's just through BG1, but ideally we're going to be exploring through the entire storyline. I want to challenge you to play a monk. I want to challenge you to play a monk. And here's why I find playing a monk to be very, very exciting, very, very challenging, and a nice mix of character management, tactica, because Baldur's Gate, it is a fighting-based game, an AD&D engine fighting-based game, just enough tactica and just enough that, and I mean this in a good way, the character kind of plays itself so you can enjoy the storyline. You can kind of explore other areas. Very little, or I should say less, micromanagement. Now, we're going to be comparing and contrasting this with other character classes, just putting that out there. And these other character classes I love, I've played, I will continue to play. So don't take this analysis as like the monk is better than these character classes. It's just different. And of course, we're going to review why all of the different character classes are fun to play and push that up to the Baldur's Gate Tactica playlist here on my channel. So the first thing in jumping in with a monk is we have two types of character interaction in combat for the primary tune and the NPCs. The first is just your base attack. You click attack, you click on the encounter, the monster, the NPC, the boss. Your character will close the distance, or if it's a ranged, and engage its abilities behind the scenes to hit modifiers, attacks per round. Most fighter-based classes and most classes outside of arcane classes, and possibly clerics, depending on the cleric build, although cleric is an effective frontline fighter too, this is how most of the game operates. Pause encounter, click NPC, attack here, click NPC, attack here, click NPC, attack here, unpause game, and manage from there. That's how a lot of the character classes operates. And that's how the monk is going to operate. And of course, this is modified by gear, magic items, magic objects to go out and attack. The second half, we have what I call as clickies. Now, the ultimate example of a clicky, this is on your status bar, your toolbar, would be mage classes, arcane classes. Pause, hit clicky. Here's all your spells. Cast this spell here. Activate this, cast that here. There is, on the mage side, a lot of micromanaging the spells, picking timing, and an art form of casting Fireball, just as a side note. It's not just click and done. It's judging how long is it going to take to cast, because there's different cast times depending on the spell. Remember, these are classic Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rules. It's not like D&D Baby Cakes, the current edition, where spell just pops off, right? Some of those higher level spells take a while. So if you click Fireball, your mage starts to cast, doing the magic hands thing. The Fireball overshoot sometimes. So learning that, there's a lot of management with arcane clickies. There's also secondary clickies, which might be certain powers or certain magic objects. An example would be just a potion, whether it's consumable or to an attack an area. Since the monk is primarily based, it's a blend of direct attack, but also as you level up, certain select clickies within its abilities of the fist abilities. And we're gonna talk about that Fist of the North Star type perspective, right? I mean, just a chance to really play that in an AD&D setting. So what I find is it's a lot of fun to play the monk just from a combat perspective, because when I need to, I can put the monk on autopilot. This means I can micromanage the rest of the party. depending on the build that I have. Primary fighter build, mixed build, mage build. But likewise, for those moments where I really want to change the course of battle or do something cool, I have my clickies. And there's just enough different things to click as the monk levels up, natural abilities, ball spawn, items, things like that, in addition to, that make it a lot of fun to play. So exploring that, I really find it a good blend of both, not to micromanage and not just like a fighter, just point and click and, I don't know, come back when the music changes. Let's talk about magic gear. I'm not going to jump into specific magic items. We've been reviewing those. But the monk classically in Baldur's Gate, there's no competition for certain select magic items. Now, you could have a certain named monk in your party or not. This is the most recent incarnation. Previously, that did not exist. But what's nice about playing the monk is if you're playing in a party, there isn't that much overlap or duplicity. There's only one other monk in the game, which, quite frankly, they added this particular monk simply because it wasn't underrepresented class, and not many players play monks. But the example is if I'm playing a mage, now I have to have a choice. And I love playing mages. I usually play a mage in AD&D and also BG. But if I'm playing a mage, if I bring in other mages to the party, okay, whether it's BG1, 2, or Siege, the amount of firepower, arcane firepower, is just going to be off the charts. It's going to be absolutely insanity. But any magic items I get, either directly usable by a mage or that might buff a mage, that's going to be in competition. Where do I spread it? Fighters, very powerful, very potent, and sometimes battle clerics. In exploring that, you get new armor, you get good armor, you get magical armor. Now you got to decide, cycle through. Okay, we're given the full plate +1 to this character, then the chainmail +2 is going to get downgraded to this character, then this character is going to get the regular plate mail. You're in competition. Likewise, no spoilers, if you have certain fighter builds that want to take advantage of certain weapons, they are magically limited or magically named, so not as easy to discover. There's competition for magic items. Now, if you're running solo, that really doesn't matter. But I find the monk is nice because even if I take the other named monk in the game, there's very limited competition for magic items. So that spreads it out to the rest of the party. Or if I'm running solo, I'm just selling a lot of gear. And from there, I've got a lot of coin to play with. Let's talk about the fists, right? Let's talk about the fists. You have, depending on the build, if it's the Dark Moon, the Sun version, or the straight up, I was going to say regular monk, vanilla monk, standard kind of classic monk, you have these fist abilities that can augment and change the nature of attacks. Now, in classic AD&D, you activate your fist, stunning blow. First, I got to hit. Then there's various saving throws. A lot of what ifs have to happen for it to happen. But stunning blow and quivering palm are really, really, really fun, useful, and interesting clickies to have in the game that are going to naturally work and stack with your monk. Now we're also going to jump into the Dark Moon monk because it looks like vanilla or sun is better. Dark Moon has some interesting ways of progressing that later on it works. So if you're just going to run through BG1, you could do it, but really it's not till Siege, End of Siege, and BG2, which really should be BG3 and Throne, that that monk comes into power. So Stunning Fist is just nice to have. It works across a variety of monsters. If you stun it and it's a more powerful type monster and the rest of the fighters, the rest of the party is ganging up on it, obviously I don't need to stun a goblin or a hobgoblin or an orc from that perspective, but if I can hit an ogre, BG1, and now the rest of the party gets a bunch of free attacks on it, it makes quick work. Yes, I have to hit. Yes, there's saving throws. Yes, there's limited numbers. But that's a nice, fully renewable clicky that's going to happen every single time. So that's that, and that's usable right away at level 1. Now, the Dark Moon has the fist, the frozen fist. That sounds kind of cool, like these like fists just sheathed in like icy, dark, cold, black magic type stuff. I mean, I could see that, but then you're like, wait, it does cold damage, 2 lousy points. Well, okay, look, damage is damage. We're going to take that, right? That's guaranteed damage. Stunning blow, stunning fist, you have to hit. There's saving throws. At least this is going to add some damage. Cold damage, there are some things, of course, being Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, that will resist it. But extra damage is extra damage. Likewise, there might be some things where it will double it or bypass or affect it. Early on, that type of special fist, it's okay. It's what it is. I'd rather have Stunning Fist, but the other abilities augment differently, and some could say much better. But where where the Frozen Fist takes off for the Dark Moon Monk later on, when you get different number of attacks and things start stacking, that tends to make things very, very interesting with how that operates. Let's talk about Quivering Palm. Now, if you've had a chance to play Quivering Palm in the current version of Dungeons and Dragons, talking about D&D 5, it's okay. Like, there's a lot of what ifs, but there's a lot of conditions on it. Like, it's all right. But you go back to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Stunning Fist, it's a dice game. Sometimes things will roll really well. Sometimes things will have saving throws that are super jacked up and bonuses and this and that. Okay. But something that's super powerful and super jacked up, it's Dungeons and Dragons. If you've ever played the tabletop, you could roll a 1, you could roll a 2 or 3, same thing behind the scenes, even if it's virtual and digital. The chance to hit something on that vital point and instantly kill it, that is worth the price of admission. Am I counting on that for certain encounters, especially in BG2? No. Am I going to pop it off? Yes. Has it happened? Yes. When it does happen, does like the game pause? Do you pause the game for a moment? You're like, what the heck just happened? It is a lot of fun to play. So from that perspective, it's not a game changer. It's not consistent and constant, say like Stunning Fist, because you get multiple uses. You just pop them off. There's more of a chance of that working. Tactically, that works very, very well. But from the perspective of just having something cool happen and have a renewable type clicky where you rest, you get it back, that is so much fun to play. Now let's talk about some other factors. Just finish out that checklist here because I want to get you pumped. I want to get your stats rolling here to roll up a monk. Armor class, okay. It'll decrease. It'll work against Thaco. It's never going to be as good as a cleric, as a fully kitted fighter. It's just not. But you've got better hit points. You've also got potentially more attacks. Your fists, as they become augmented, okay, they're never going to be as good as some of the named magic items in the game. No spoilers. But you're going to make up with that with the pure just number of attacks. Moving, speed. That's big. The monk is very, very fast and continues to move fast. That lets you be at the right place at the right time to deal some additional damage. That lets you get the heck out of there. That lets you utilize clickies. That lets you utilize potion bombs, all sorts of crazy stuff. The speed is nice. You have that natural speed ability without putting on named boots or some sort of spell to augment your speed. You get spoiled. It's hard to go back. The other place the monk excels, and this is end game. This is why there is a difference between playing BG1 and going into BG2. Magic resistance. Without giving away any spoilers, Baldur's Gate 1 is low-level AD&D magic. As soon as you get Fireball and Lightning Bolt, things start to shift in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. As soon as you move to some of the more advanced spells, really 6 and higher, level 6, spell level 6 and higher, things get mad crazy. They get really, really potent, really, really crazy. The ability to have built-in spell resistance that stacks, that's huge. I mean, that is, combined with the speed, combined with the fury of fists, combined with your special clicky fists and other clicky abilities, that's potent. That is potent. It is certainly a very powerful character to play, but at the mid to higher end levels, not necessarily straight out of the box. Looking at the final kind of cap here, you've got some abilities, right? You kind of have some rogue abilities here where you can move silently, you can hide. That's kind of fun. I've played it. It offers some dimension. Do I use it all the time? No. But if you're scouting a little bit or playing a little bit more of a stealth-based party, then that saves the invisibility spells for those that can't be stealth-based. Lets the monk move up with, say, the thief, or the monk to move up, get in position, sprint, fist, blast, and get out of there. It's nice. It's a nice ability to have. You've got those points. You've also got the ability to detect illusion. On the other, Dark Moon Monk, that gets really handy later on in the game. Overall, a fun class to play. Just enough direct autopilot, just enough clickies, just enough base abilities that you can count on, and a few clickies that make things really interesting when they happen. That's the challenge. I want to challenge you to make a monk run through for this next game that you're going to play. I've pushed up detailed, or I should say more detailed tactica regarding the monk in Baldur's Gate. We explored the base monk, the core monk. We looked at the sun monk, and we looked at the dark moon monk, how they play, how they are different, and compare different type of play styles. Because what's interesting is some of the custom class kits in BG, they're kind of the same as the base kit. Not all of them, but they offer you a couple of nuanced differences. These three monk, the primary monk and the two secondary monk kits, they play vastly different, almost like they're different characters with how they approach and how they want to play. So that there not only changes the tactica, but also increases the character pool. So again, after you've played through the game and you know it and you know where everything's located, and now you cycle through some other character classes, all of a sudden the game becomes completely new and fresh. So I want to encourage you to check out those character class reviews under the Baldur's Gate playlist. And actually right now, currently, I am running a monk through. I'm getting ready to finish up BG1. I'm going to be entering into Siege. We're going to do things a little bit differently with that. And then, of course, if we've made it that far, we're going to play it out to BG2 and take it into Throne.